Hello there! If you clicked on this video, you're probably interested in being a VTuber. And this video is gonna be all about all of the different things that I could think of. There are chapters if you wanna take a look and skip to whatever part interests you. Generally, there are three kinds of models. There is a PNG or a GIF-tuber, which a PNG is basically just a static image that is either all on one layer or on separate layers, and it bounces or lights up when you talk. A GIF-tuber would be a similar idea, but it would move a little bit more because it's a GIF. There are live 2D models, which are the most popular in the VTubing community and the VTubing scene. And there are 3D models, which is one that I'm using right now. A difference between 2D models and 3D models is, well, that one is 2D, made with the help of the live 2D cubism rigging software, and the other one is 3D. 3D models are three-dimensional, meaning that if I wanted to, I could take my model and turn it around, like so. You would not be able to do that if you were to use a 2D model, because 2D models are drawn in one way, and that is how they are. You cannot really turn them around. You don't have that much control over them. 2D models are the ones that are the most popular in the VTubing community, and it is all thanks to Niji Shanji, which popularized the usage of live 2D models. But the first person to ever call themselves a VTuber, which is Kizuna Ai, used a 3D model. A piece of history for you. Where to get models from? It all depends on either the kind of model you want to get or how much money you want to spend. You can be a VTuber for free. That is definitely something that you can do. I'm a VTuber for free. The only thing I ever bought was a better microphone. So, where to get models from? If you want to get a PNG, you can go look on Picro. Picro is like a character creator website where people upload the character creators that they make and other people can use them. If you're planning to use a Picro for VTubing, it is very important to check if the terms of service allow the Picro to be used for VTubing for monetary content, because not all of them allow that. So if you're planning to get a PNG from Picro, it is very important that you check if it is alright to make content as a VTuber whilst using that Picro. There is also the option of getting a free or cheap pre-made model, either a 2D one or a 3D one, from Booth. Booth is a website where a lot of people upload pre-made models, pre-made VTubers you can get. Again, also check the terms of service, because not all of them can be used for everything. And they are relatively cheap, or there is a lot of free ones that you can get. And it's a good way for beginners to start, because you may not like making content, you may not like being a VTuber, so it is very important to give it a shot first, either as just a faceless creator without anything, or as a VTuber whilst using a free pre-made model or a cheap pre-made model, or even a PNG from Picro, like I said before. There is also the option of making your own VTuber model yourself. You can either, if you know how to draw, you can draw a PNG or draw a 2D model and rig it in rigging software. A lot of people use live 2D cubism for that. I do not know how to rig myself, so I'm not gonna talk about it, but this is something that you can do. If you have artistic skills and are willing to take in the time to learn how to use live 2D cubism to rig your model, that is totally something that you can do. If you're wanting to get a 3D model, or maybe you have less artistic skills to draw a model yourself, a 2D model, you can use this app that is called VRoid Studio, which is what I made my model in, except for the wings. The wings were made by somebody else and blended from scratch. VRoid is a very good way for beginners to make their models, to get models from. They have a lot of pre-made assets, so you don't need to worry about like the customizability of it. The customizability is like very high. You can make a lot of things in VRoid, as long as they're like human or closely humanoid. I've seen some people make like straight up fairy characters in VRoid. I don't know how to do that. It requires you to be very freaking creative with the usage of the sliders and all of the presets. But if that's something that interests you, you can totally take a look at VRoid, download VRoid. It's free on Steam, so you can totally do that. Additionally, if you're using a VRoid model, there is this tool where there are two tools. One is paid, which is called HANA tool, and the other one is free, which is Neblight. Those tools allow you to add additional blend shapes to your VTuber model, to your VRoid VTuber model, to be specific. Those blend shapes allow you to have ARKit tracking, which is what a lot of live 2D models have. If you look at a lot of streamers using live 2D models, those models most likely have ARKit tracking blend shapes in them. Those blend shapes allow you to have more control over your model, except just the typical 5 or 6 expressions and blinking and talking. With ARKit, you can like move your mouth one corner up, the other corner down, or stick your tongue out if you have an iPhone. I don't have an iPhone, so I can't do that, but that is something that you can totally do. When I first got ARKit tracking installed on my model, I was shocked about how expressive my face is, because looking at my previous streams, previous videos with a model that didn't use ARKit tracking, I am so much more expressive now with this model than with one that didn't have ARKit tracking, and it shocked me a lot when I first recorded my first video and was editing it. I was like, huh, that's crazy. That's just how I look like. That is insane. I will record a little Neblight tutorial because I use Neblight. I'm gonna record a little tutorial for that on how to add blend shapes to your VRoid. So that's gonna come soon. You can also make a model totally from scratch in Blender. With that, you wouldn't be able to use those tools that I just named, but that is totally a possibility. If you wanna be like a cube or some monster guy, you can totally make a VTuber model in Blender from scratch if you have 3D modeling experience or are wanting to learn 3D modeling. That is totally something that you can do. A second option that would be a little bit more pricey than a free VTuber model would be getting a customizable model. Customizable models are models pre-made by other people that have a lot of customizable options. Those models are usually paid, but they cost less than a totally custom VTuber model. So, for example, a very popular one that lately came out was the Suika model. The Suika model has a lot of customizability, a lot of options to choose from, and a lot of people use it online. There are also other models, other pre-made models that are customizable that you can choose from. I'm gonna put some names up on the screen. So if that's something that you want to do, if you're not okay getting a pre-made model or making your own model, you can get one of those customizable models and stream with that. Now, when it comes to custom models are the most expensive kind you can get because they're, you know, custom. Most people, when they commission custom VTuber models, they go onto VGen. VGen is a platform created for VTubers and for other artists where they can sell their services and get services from other people. VGen tends to be very reliable with their artists and who sells there, but it is very important that if you're planning to get a custom VTuber model, remember that they can cost a lot, a couple of $100 American, a lot of money. So always do background checks on people that you want to commission from, just in case. It's always better to take a look a little bit deeper and look if, oh, this person's legit, instead of just commissioning people blindly, especially when that much money is involved. What about cheaper custom models? If you went onto VGen already, you may have noticed that custom VTuber models cost thousands of dollars, even more sometimes. So can you get a custom VTuber model made by an artist that would be a little bit cheaper? You can, kind of. A lot of artists do this thing that's called emergency commissions. Emergency commissions are typically cheaper than the commissions that the artist may have normally. because they are either in a difficult life situation and may need the extra cash, or they want to get verified or regen and want to very quickly sell their services to get the money goal to get verified. So that is something to look out for, emergency commissions. But with emergency commissions, it is important to remember that a lot of them aren't open communication. So what that means is that usually with commissions, you would send your references to the artist would send you a sketch. Then you would be like, okay, but change this thing, change that thing, I didn't mean for it to be like that. Then the artist would change that, send you the sketch. Then you would be like, okay, that's good, you can get to coloring now. The artist would color, send you the color, and you would go, okay, yeah, that's fine, but can we make like the ears green instead of blue? And then the artist would change that and send you this back, and so on and so forth. With emergency commissions, they often don't have that. I think that's called SCAB, if I remember correctly. So basically, you place an order, get a line art sometimes, approve the line art or tell what thing to change. Then the artist works on the model is finished, you get it sent, you look at it, and if there are like mistakes or errors in the model, they may be fixed. So for example, if I were to commission a scab like that from an artist, and I would get it, and instead of a horseshoe, I would have like a flower on my shirt, I would go, okay, like, awesome, thank you, but you mistook the horseshoe for a flower, and I would like that changed. And then the artist would change that. But that's about it. There is not as much open communication with emergency commissions often as there is with normal commissions, because emergency commissions often are made because the artists are in desperate need of money. So they may not have as much time to work on your model and on your order as they would normally. When you're commissioning a VTuber model, it is very important that you and your artist are on the same page. So what's helpful with that are references. When you're commissioning a VTuber model, you probably already have a design idea in your mind that you want to have created as a VTuber model. There are a couple of ways in which you can make the design come to life instead of just relying on words to explain it to your artist. It may be more handy to show some pictures or images. Of course, you can just use random Pinterest mood boards if you'd like, but as a VTuber model artist, I made a couple of commissions in my life. I found it more handy when people had actual OCs created, actual designs that I could look at and recreate them with my twist. So for example, some ways in which you can get a reference for your VTuber model: you can make a PNG in Picro, which I already talked about, and in this case you wouldn't need to worry about the TOS because it would simply be something for your artist to look at to get the idea of what you're looking for your VTuber. You wouldn't be streaming with that Picro, so you don't need to worry about the terms of services as much. You can also get The Sims 4, which is free, and a bunch of custom content, which is always free, and create your reference in there. Of course, I'm not telling you to go ahead and stream with a Sims model. This is just a reference we're talking about right now. And a Sims model is pretty handy for reference. You can make a character in a dress-up game online. Any dress-up game, really. I like to use Gacha Club from Lunime. I made this design first in there before recreating it as a 3D, and I use it a lot when I make other VTuber models as well. Or you can just go ahead and make a 3D model reference in VRoid Studio. Even if you're not planning to stream with a VRoid might be something handy to look at for your artist when they are creating your VTuber model. There's also the option of participating in a raffle or a giveaway, but those are very not reliable. There is not a 100% guarantee that you're gonna get picked. So I'm not gonna bother talking about those as much. An important thing to remember is that if you're a VTuber, you need to respect artists. What I mean by that is that You should not use generative AI to make your model or your reference or whatever. Generative AI is very bad for artists and the environment as well. So if you want to be respected as a VTuber and you want to have any kind of career, you should not use AI generated images. What apps to track models with? That is the next question that we're going to talk about. And it all depends on the kind of model that you end up getting. A PNG can be thrown in to, for example, reactive by Fogi, which is what a lot of people use when they have collabs with others on Discord, and it makes those little PNGs of them pop up on the screen. That is something that you can take advantage of if you want to be a PNG tuber and have a one-layer image, because some VTubers are multiple layers. If your PNG tuber is multiple layers, you can use this app called PNG Tuber Plus, which allows for multiple layers and a lot more bounciness to your models. For a live 2D model, an app people use most often, and the only one I know of, to be honest, is VTube Studio. So you put your model in there and track your face, and it works. When it comes to 3D models, there is a ton of options you can pick from. The one I use is Varudo. The one I used previously was VCFace. There's also Vinian, which is used by a lot of people, and those are like the top 3, I would say, for 3D VTuber models. What about the camera? The best option for VTubing would be an iPhone XR or newer. However, don't worry if you don't have one. I don't have one, and I can still VTube. For a PNG, camera isn't needed at all. It's all set up through audio, so you don't need to worry about a camera for a PNG at all. For a 2D model, I am not sure if you need a camera or not, and feel free to do your research elsewhere. And for a 3D VTuber model, a camera is not needed, definitely. There are multiple apps that can make your VTuber model function with only audio, for example, Freetene, VDraw, or Vimeo Magic. And if I remember correctly, I think Vimeo Magic can be used with 2D models as well, but don't count my word on it. I've never used a 2D model before. If you don't have an iPhone, your second best option would be using a webcam. A webcam that's either attached to your laptop or that you bought for your PC. That is your second best choice. Your third best choice would be to use tracking based on audio only. So no fancy movements, no things like that, just a basic audio tracking with a static model that doesn't move at all. And the last thing that you should ever consider, in my opinion, is tracking based on an Android phone. I tried tracking my VTuber model with my Android phone a couple of times. I highly don't recommend it. My phone would lag so much. Androids just weren't made for this sort of thing like iPhones were, so I would not recommend using an Android at all for this kind of thing. Just use your webcam or audio-only tracking if you don't have an iPhone. Streaming. What about streaming? You may have noticed that a lot of VTubers online are live streamers, either on YouTube or on Twitch, which I never really understood, because VTuber stands for Virtual YouTuber, but a lot of people online these days seem to think that it stands for Virtual Streamer, which it doesn't, and they may think less of you if you don't live stream, but that is not true at all. If you don't want to live stream, you don't need to live stream. If you don't want to live stream, go ahead and live stream. As a VTuber, you can make any kind of content that you want, any kind of content that you're comfortable making. That is totally fine. You can even show your face sometimes if you want. That is completely okay. There are famous VTubers out there that show their faces sometimes or regularly, and it's totally fine. If you want to live stream, there are some things that you need to take care of. For example, what platform to live stream on, and if you want to live stream on multiple platforms at the same time or only on one. The popular choices are YouTube, obviously, and Twitch, and Kick. A lot of VTubers live stream on Kik as well because it isn't as popular. So it's easier to get recognized, but also because it isn't as popular, not a lot of people go on there compared to Twitch and YouTube. So where you live stream is totally your choice, and that is something that you need to think about. Streaming or not, you will need a software to set up your scene and model and audio in. I use OBS. A different choice would be Streamlabs, which is used by some people. If you are learning how to set up the scenes and everything, I highly recommend checking out the Stream Scheme channel. They have a lot of tutorials on streaming, microphone setups, OBS, a lot of things. And additionally, their Discord offers free backgrounds, free stingers that you can use. I use free backgrounds from them in my streams, and I use the free stinger that their Discord provides. So highly recommend. I watched a ton of their tutorials when I first started out. They're very informative, and I highly recommend checking them out. Very important thing that I feel the need to mention: if you are an independent VTuber and you're just starting out content creation as a general, start with what you have. Don't instantly upgrade to the newest iPhone, the most powerful PC, especially not if you don't have the money for that and you wouldn't use it for daily things. That's why I recommend people who just start out to start with free models or cheap models, because you may not like making content as a content creator. And then what? What do you do with the model if you don't like it? Just throw it away? You spent like a couple of thousand on it. So start with what you have. Don't worry about it this much. You're not gonna get famous in one day. You're not gonna get famous in one day. Microphones. Microphones, if you are to buy something, buy a microphone first. Put it at the top of your list, even before your model. Put a good microphone. Microphones, very important for any content creator, I would say, and more for VTubers because you don't show your face, so people mostly listen to your voice. When I watch VTubers, the first thing that I pay attention to is microphone. Even before your design, even before your model, tracking fancy things, microphone. Good microphone. A lot of people seem to recommend the Blue Yeti microphone. I've also heard good things about Wave 3 and a different one. I will put them up on the screen right now, and they are all on my website if you wanna check them out there. Oh, debuts. Debuts, very popular in the VTubing community. I would say they are more of a thing for corporate VTubers. If you are an independent VTuber, you may not have as a successful debut as corporate VTubers out there. Debuts, by definition, are the first live stream the VTuber ever does with their model. Sometimes even the first time that they are online creating content. And if you are an independent VTuber, I don't recommend aspiring to have a big-ass debut like all of those people that you see online, because a lot of them are either from corporations or have a previous following that followed them on their VTubing journeys. That's why so many people showed up to their debuts. If you're an independent VTuber, I highly recommend just getting a model, setting up your scene, and pressing stream, and just having fun. You can debut later on with a different model or just with the same model just for fun because you have a following now, so you're gonna do a fancy debut. A lot of VTubers have this thing that's called lore. So a lot of VTubers like to play a character, which is totally fine. Which is totally something that you can do. Lore is like a story which explains like the universe that the VTuber lives in, the VTuber character lives in, and what role they play in it. Some VTubers like to play a character when they stream, some VTubers don't. Some VTubers that just have fantastical VTuber models because it's pretty and don't bother coming up with lore, and that is totally fine. That is totally something that's up to you. If you want a lore, you can write one down. You can do whatever you want. Songs and singing. A lot of VTubers have original songs and covers. It mostly comes from idol culture, which VTubing takes a lot of inspiration from. And if you would like to sing, that is totally something that you can do. There are a ton of tutorials online on how to record a cover, how to record an original song. And for some people, that is something that they want to do, but it's not a requirement. And last thing that I want to say is be unique. Ask yourself, what is something that you are especially good at? What is something that will make people watch you instead of other people? It is important to create a good and original image of yourself as a VTuber. One personality that would be recognizable and unique and would put you separately from the rest. Your personality is the most important thing as a VTuber. Not your model, not what games you play, who you are and what your personality is. That is one of the most important things. Your model is also very important. After your personality, I would say. Your model should fit you. Be an eye grabber, obviously, and it should fit your personality and your lore, if you have any, well. It should be unique, and it should fit your unique personality. All right, and that is all that I want to say for today. There is a website version of all of this if you want to read info down instead. There's also some more info, and I'm gonna leave a link to my website down in the description. So if instead of rewatching this video, you just want to sit down and have a read, feel free to check on my website. There's a lot of links, a lot of helpful links there, a lot of everything is nicely organized, nicer than this video, I would say. So I highly recommend checking it out, and see you all in the next one. Because I will make a next tutorial, hopefully not next month.